wrestling fans. Not sports entertainment fans. Professional wrestling fans. Professional wrestling. This is it. This is us standing up. This is
the Wrestling Matters Podcast, a podcast that stands up for professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters. So join the revolution, because the revolution is now.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
professional wrestling. This is it. This is us standing up.
Yes, 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 yes.
That's 13-14.
Cena, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's that HEAD at your service for another installment of the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Hope you're all well and what it is you are doing. Yeah, another world of professional wrestling news, views, opinions, and reviews, and whatever. On today's show, we're going to do our usual. We're going to talk Raw, we're going to talk Smackdown, we're going to talk TNA, we're going to talk NXT. I almost messed up there a little bit, but I saved it. And we're also going to talk Ring of Honor as well, as we always do on this program. That's what on this podcast, because that's what we do. I have to start off with a bit of an apology, ladies and gentlemen, because earlier this week I was trying to get a guest on the show, guest by the name of Tim Vicious. But unfortunately that didn't pan out very well, because what we didn't record, all thanks to the certain MP3 Skype recorder that didn't work. Now, I reported this, and it turns out it wasn't connected to the Skype 7.9 thing on Skype. It doesn't need to be connected to the Skype. Skype doesn't need to read it anymore. If you've got MP3 Skype recording now, you should be getting the new one, which is 4.12. If you've got 4.11, lose it. Go on to the website where you got it from, or for more information, check out MP3 Skype Recorder on Facebook as well. But you need to download the new one, 4.12. It's essential you do that, otherwise the other one probably won't work. It might still work for you, it may not. Didn't work for me. I've downloaded 4.12, and it's working now. So I apologise for that. We could have had Tim Vicious on today, but unfortunately, due to them unfortunate circumstances, Tim Vicious will be on again. He's coming back on. We're getting him back on. I'm doing my damnedest to get him back on. He might be on next week's show. I don't know, but he's coming back on. So until then, though, guys, check him out on YouTube. #ViciousRants. Be sure to check that out. It's with Tim Vicious, so be sure to check him out. I'll leave a link in the description on YouTube below, so be sure to check him out as well. Smart dude, very cool dude, very cool to talk to as well, as far as wrestling goes. And don't worry, like I said, guys, I apologise to Tim, I apologise to you guys as well, but don't worry, as we always do, I never settle for second best on this show. Guests come on, they get a fair shot on this show, okay? No matter what happens, they always get a fair shot on this show. That's why we love having them on. That's why I love having them on, because we always talk wrestling. And Tim will be on ASAP as soon as possible, preferably, hopefully aiming it for next week. I can't guarantee it yet because I haven't spoken to Tim. So Tim, if you listen to this, get in touch with me, bro. Let's get you back on the podcast and let's do it all over again. And this time it will work. I promise you that. But that was that. Now, I've been watching a video again on YouTube. You know, last week I talked about the Justin Bieber situation at SummerSlam. Now, I talked about various topics on this, and there was this video that I saw on YouTube, courtesy of FYI James being in capital letters on YouTube, and he goes through the WWE wrestling matches that almost happened at Wrestlemania, and a few came up. There was two that came up particular. I won't go through them all. I'll leave the link in the description below. You can go and check it out yourself on YouTube or SoundCloud or whatever it is. There was a few matches on there that nearly happened at Wrestlemania, but didn't. Now, I'll start with one that nearly happened in 97 at the 97 Wrestlemania, which I believe was Wrestlemania 13. As we all know, Stone Cold went one-on-one with Bret Hart in the submission match that basically catapulted the career of Stone Cold Steve Austin. And we all know, sharpshooter, Austin passed out, the rest is history. That was meant to be Shawn Michaels in Austin's position. But we all know Shawn didn't want to do the job. This was the year that the Montreal Screwjob happened, and these two were heated up, Shawn and Bret, and everybody knew that Shawn didn't want to do the job, so WWE had him forfeit, which led to the "I've lost my smile" promo that he did. But it was meant to be Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart at WrestleMania for the WWE title in a submission match. Not the submission match, stipulation, but the ending of the submission match that happened with Austin, that was meant to be Shawn Michaels. And I was thinking, when I saw this video, I'm thinking, what would have happened if that was Shawn Michaels? What kind of rub would he got out of that? Because Austin got a rub. I mean, blooming out. That catapulted his career. That made him the toughest son of a bitch as people knew him to be. All right, 1 year later, he got the belt, the WWE title. More on that in a second. It's just, it was just amazing. It's just amazing to even see that. I think, with Austin's rub that he got off that match, can you imagine if that was Shawn Michaels and what rub he would have got, But as we all know, him and Bret Hart couldn't stand one another back then. So, the rest is history, as they say. Another match before I get to that Bret Hart thing that I mentioned. A match that was supposed to take place at WrestleMania, I believe it was WrestleMania 22, involving Undertaker versus Kurt Angle for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, the reason this match didn't take place, because it was meant to be, as you know, it was Kurt Angle versus Undertaker. And the reason why this match didn't take place was because it was penciled in as the undefeated streak ending. And it was one of many. This was meant to be the undefeated streak ending at this very WrestleMania. These two, Kurt Angle, Undertaker, for the World Heavyweight Championship, that big belt, which I believe Rey Mysterio eventually ended up winning. This was meant to be Kurt Angle versus Undertaker, and Undertaker losing at this WrestleMania. Now, I watched the video, and on there, just go back and check who it is again. FYI, James, you didn't mention this in the thing, you just said it was penciled in, and it happened a month earlier at No Way Out, which it did, and hell, it was still the incredible match it was. And the reason why it didn't go down at WrestleMania, FYI James, I've got the scoop on that one, from what I read at least, it's because Kurt Angle didn't want to lose, or didn't want to destroy the undefeated streak, out of respect for the Undertaker. That's why. There was a couple of other people as well. There was another option that could have ended the Undertaker's undefeated streak, and that was at WrestleMania 21 with Randy Orton, the Legend Killer gimmick. What better way to establish him as a Legend Killer than beat the Undertaker at WrestleMania? But out of respect for the Undertaker again, Orton didn't want to do that. Same principle with Kurt Angle. He didn't want to do that at WrestleMania. That's why it ended up being, I think he was going to lose the title anyway come what may at WrestleMania, but that's why it ended up being Rey Mysterio. Even though people say that Rey Mysterio only won the title because it fed off Eddie Guerrero's untimely death. Speaking of Eddie Guerrero, there was also another match at WrestleMania 22 that was meant to happen. Shawn Michaels was meant to go one-on-one with Eddie Guerrero at WrestleMania, and this is a shoot, which I find it hard to believe because Stephanie came out doing a tribute to Eddie Guerrero and said that he was meant to win the world title. But this was meant to be a match at WrestleMania between Shawn Michaels and Eddie Guerrero, according to this video. But as we all know, Eddie Guerrero died November 13th of heart failure. So we all know what happened to that one, which was a shame because if Eddie Guerrero hadn't died, we would have had an awesome match. Shawn Michaels, babyface, maybe Shawn Michaels being a heel. I think out of this match it would have been suited as Shawn Michaels being the babyface and Eddie Guerrero being the heel. But anyway, there was quite a few other matches on there as well, and there was even one match that was penciled in for WrestleMania 14. Bret Hart going one-on-one with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I believe it would have been for the WWE Championship. And finally, Stone Cold getting that push. Bret Hart's beaten him on numerous occasions, and Stone Cold manages to finally beat him. But the Montreal Screwjob ended that. And Bret going to WCW, and Vince couldn't pay Bret his money in the contract, and blah, 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 blah. Put an end to all that stipulation and all that thought. And at WrestleMania 14, we ended up getting Shawn Michaels versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, which worked anyway, which worked to a T in a way anyway. And Stone Cold, even though it was meant to be Bret Hart, eventually got his rightful push, but at the expense of Shawn Michaels. Despite Shawn Michaels didn't want to do the job, as we all know. He didn't want to give that title up for anything, despite the fact he had a back injury, which put him out for 4 years. So, yeah, I mean, I'll leave the link in the description below. Check it out on YouTube. Check it out if you're hearing us on SoundCloud. The link's in the description. It's on YouTube. I'll put the video in there. Go and check it out, man. It's unbelievable. It really is. And there was even a match on there involving Triple H faces I wanted at one point, I believe it was WrestleMania 17, they wanted to do another Lawrence Taylor Bam Bam Bigelow match. Triple H versus a member of the Baltimore Ravens, which was Ray Lewis, I think it was. But they already did that with Lawrence Taylor anyway, didn't they? So what's the point of doing it again? And the only time it would have probably made sense if Triple H was going to go over on the Raven dude, because I'll guarantee you this. Alright, Bam Bam Bigelow did the job at WrestleMania 11, arguably and possibly the worst WrestleMania ever. But if it happened to Triple H, I think Triple H would have killed his career. That's just my view on that one. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, check it out on YouTube. I'll leave the link in the description, and check it out on SoundCloud as well if you're hearing this on SoundCloud. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap part 1 up there. I'll be back with part 2. And as a replacement for the Tim Vicious fiasco with my little MP3 player which I've got fixed, and like I said, Tim Vicious will be back on the show. I'm going to put the audio that I did for the video on my Wrestling Matters channel on my review of what I thought and what happened on Raw, and I'll be doing that right after this break. So I'll see you in part 3 after this break. You're going to get the audio for the Raw review, so see you soon. Be sure to tune in every single Tuesday now for the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra, where I'll be hosting a podcast on one promotion and one promotion only. ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling, the hottest promotion in Scotland. Well, I'll be reviewing their shows.
Oh my God!
Talking ICW.
That's 13-14!
And who knows, maybe getting some guests on. So be sure to tune in to the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra ICW podcast, Insane Championship Wrestling, every Tuesday on YouTube, Podomatic, Stitcher Radio, downloaded free at iTunes, Mixcloud, and SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
World, look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world. We are ICW and you're gonna know our name.
On to topic. Monday Night Raw, August 31st, last night, as I'm recording this. And it kicked off with Sting. You know what, I'll get to the main point. One main point, at least, of what happened on Raw, which was Sting. Sting kicked off Raw, came out, and said that it was good to be back in Tampa, and basically said that his next target was the weasel known as Seth Rollins. Now, he came out and said that Seth Rollins is not the man Triple H is, because the last time Sting was in the ring, he fought Triple H, lost, and Triple H was man enough to stand up and shake his hand, and getting his, after the match. Sting thinks that Seth Rollins is not the man Triple H is. He thinks he's a little boy in a man's world. And at Night of Champions, he plans on becoming a champion that has, he plans on winning the title that has eluded him all these years, and plans on becoming the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Fast forward later on, during some motivation speech from Stephanie backstage after that Sting segment, Seth comes out and calls out Sting, demanding to know where his statue is. Now, I've got my notes here. Apparently, Seth said that he was better than Triple H ever was. That didn't sit well with the Queen Bee. Queen Bee comes out and requests and strongly suggests that Seth shut his mouth. Anyway, another motivational speech from Stephanie and all that, and getting Seth fired up and everything. Since she was on her own this week, no Triple H, which is usually Triple H's job when when he's giving the motivational speech to Seth Rollins. Seth calls out again Sting, tries it all again, except this time he doesn't get Sting. Kind of a carbon copy of last week, in a way. He gets John Cena. And Cena comes out and, basically gets says, has a little bit of tirade and talks about Seth Rollins and all that. But also cashes in his US title rematch because Mr. Rollins didn't think this through. Night of Champions, every title is on the line. And John Cena wants his US title match. And he's going to get his US title match because, reluctantly enough, Steph agreed. Stephanie McMahon agreed. And that just pissed off Seth Rollins even more. And Raw ended with Cena going up the ramp, standing on top of the ramp, Sting coming out next to him, and Seth acting like a whiny little bitch in the ring with his both belts in hand, knowing the fact that Night of Champions may be the longest night of his life. So look out for a Night of Champions prediction, but I'm pretty sure that Mr. Rollins will not be champions after Night of Champions. But we'll see. Like I said, only time will tell. Interested to see what happens next week on Raw. Now I'll get to the other talking points of Monday Night Raw. And match-wise, Monday Night Raw kicked off with a SummerSlam rematch involving Dolph Ziggler and Rusev. Now, power advantage was with Rusev, quickness was with Dolph. I actually thought this was a better match than SummerSlam, because SummerSlam basically ended in a double count-out. Although there was a little point towards the end that this was going to end it in a double count-out, but both men managed to get in. Quite frankly, both men were lucky. Dolph, Rusev dominated this match for me, because there was points in the match where Dolph was just looking for a way to catch Rusev off guard and beat him that way, because Rusev, dominated Ziggler for most of this match, dare I say all of it, and it was getting to a point where Dolph was trying to outsmart Rusev, and trying to look for that one spot. There was a spot in the match where Dolph got clotheslined on top. Rusev bounced off the rope and just runs into a super kick. It was kind of like, trying to catch him off guard. Beat him as he never saw it coming. But we eventually got towards the end, and I think Rusev hit was going for his kick, missed. Ziggler spun him around, hit the zigzag, and then Summer Rae comes in and breaks it up. And Dolph Ziggler gets a DQ win. And went on that Summer Rae eventually saw Ziggler in the shower. At the end of the day, they're building up to a mixed tag match. It's coming. The mixed tag match is coming. I don't know when it's coming. It's probably going to be... I would probably say it's probably going to be at Hell in a Cell. I can't see it being at Night of Champions unless they put on the pre-show. I don't think it'll fit in Night of Champions, will it? I don't know. All titles are on the line, but I don't think there'll be room for it, will it? I don't know. Maybe at Night of Champions, may not be, but at the end of the day, it's coming. We all know it's coming. The mixed tag match, and apparently Summer Rae saw Ziggler in the shower, which didn't sit well with Lana. So tune in to Smackdown this week, because Miz TV is going to be Lana and Dolph Ziggler. I say Miz TV, it's more like an episode of Dr. Phil. Anyway, the next match after that, but before I get to the next match after that, PCB, Beat the Clock. All 3 members of PCB fought in Beat the Clock. Okay? And the fastest, whoever gets the fastest time, moves on to Night of Champions to face Nikki Bella. The rightful person won, by the way. No offense to Becky, no offense to Paige, even though she didn't have much to do, poor lass. But Charlotte got the nod, and Charlotte and Nikki Bella, the Night of Champions, for the Divas title. And I'm predicting right now, even though I said I'm doing a prediction show in the coming weeks, but I'm predicting right now, Charlotte will be your next Divas champion. Period. She is the future of the Divas division. She will set the tone for the Divas division. And I don't care what anyone says, Charlotte will be the backbone of the Divas division, of how the Divas division should have been when Natalya was around, and how WWE should have used Natalya in this spot. But they didn't. So, if Nikki Bella wins a Night of Champions, then the rumours that I've been hearing are probably true. That's the only way that's thing, and I'll get to that in a second. But Becky beat Alicia Fox in 3 minutes 21 seconds, which set the pace basically. And then Charlotte came out to beat Brie Bella, but Brie Bella spent more time stalling in that match. At least Alicia Fox, in a way, gave Becky a match. Understandably, Brie tried to, not give Charlotte a match. She was trying to stall away and let the clock run out and everything, but it backfired on her. Because Charlotte eventually grabbed out of it, hit a neck breaker on her, and then hit Natural Selection, which is a move that used to be called Bow Down to the Queen, and gets the victory. It was the most ridiculous match, or the ridiculous 1 minute 40 I've ever seen. I mean, to be honest, I think they made Brie Bella made herself look weak in that match. Not that she needed any help, but it was just a ridiculous way for that. But in a way, it kind of made Charlotte look. I say look dominant. I'll be lying if I said that. But at the end of the day, Charlotte got the victory, got the win, and moved on. And poor Paige didn't have enough time to get anywhere. I find it funny how Becky and Charlotte faced the Bella Twins, and Paige had to face. No, let me just say that. I find it funny how Becky and Charlotte had to face Alicia Fox and Brie Bella respectively, but Paige had to face Sasha Banks. I find that odd, but Paige didn't have enough time, or couldn't get the job done in a way against Sasha Banks. So, like I said, Charlotte is going to Night of Champions. Charlotte will be your next Divas champion. She will carry that Divas division and bring some respect back to it. And I'm promising this right now, no more Bella Twins as champions. The Bella Twins' domination will be over, at least for now, at Night of Champions. But if Nikki somehow wins, and I'll say this again on the predictions, if Nikki somehow wins, then the rumours what I've been hearing are true. Now, we'll go to Ryback and Big Show. Good job, WWE. You put on a show for free. You put on a match for free, which probably should have been at Night of Champions. Although it's probably going to end that way, and it probably will be at Night of Champions. Now, considering what happened in the finish, Big Show, one of my favourite moments, good moment in the match. Big Show getting on the crowd because the crowd was shouting, "Please retire!" And Big Show turned around and went, "Find me someone to retire me," because it's not going to happen. And then Big Show using his power, because I think he dominated most of this match myself, proving his dominance because he is a 7-foot giant. Ryback goes for the meat hook clothesline and gets speared by the Big Show. 7-foot guy doing the spear. All in all, it was a good, hard, physical match. That in a way was spoilt by one Lady Gaga at ringside. Miz, that outfit, goddamn. I mean, I don't know where this is going to go, but Miz cost Big Show the Intercontinental Championship. I hope they don't have another triple threat match. I hope it's a one-on-one match. I mean, I'm done seeing the Miz now for the Intercontinental Championship. No doubt Big Show will probably get his revenge on SmackDown, because with Miz TV, he'll probably come out on Miz TV and demand answers, or wait till next week. I don't know what's going to happen, but, you know, I mean, for goodness sake, you know, Miz... I mean, they're trying to bring prestige back to the Intercontinental Championship. I mean, Ryback wants to do that. He's even made that himself. And in my opinion, despite the staph infection and everything, Ryback in a way has been an okay champion up until now. But Miz... I mean, I'm done with the Miz, quite frankly. Done with him. But hopefully they'll have this match again at Night of Champions, and hopefully this time Miz won't get involved. But like I say, all in all, good physical, hard-hitting match that was spoilt by The Miz, unfortunately. Now, another SummerSlam rematch, and another even match, quite frankly, Cesaro and Kevin Owens. Now, it took a while for Kevin Owens to get off the blocks in this match, because it was all Cesaro from the early get-go of the match, and then Kevin Owens proved his dominance. But it was an even match. Good, hard-hitting, physical wrestling match. It was. I loved it. And I could probably watch it again. And the story of the match was Cesaro taking a bump and hitting ribs first on the announce table, which basically cost him the match. Quite frankly, that was the turning point of the match. And that was, like, say, towards the end. And... I mean, it was all even up until that point, in my opinion. A very good, even wrestling match, which ended with that little bump and Cesaro hurting his ribs and getting the loss, basically. Which ended with the Owens getting the win by the pop-up powerbomb. Will these two have a match again? Probably. I think it's going to come to a conclusion where Cesaro won't rest until he's beaten him. But to be honest, I really don't care, to be honest. I love this match, and I wouldn't mind seeing these two go at it again. Hell, book them in a 2 out of 3 falls match. I'll be okay with that. But these two, from what I'm seeing at the moment, are having a really, really, really good feud. And I hope it does continue. Will it continue? I don't know. How long will it go, and how long will it last? You know, remains to be seen. But whatever they're doing at the moment right now is working, and I really enjoyed that match on Raw. Hopefully they'll have another one again. Now, Braun Strowman debut, probably the most one-sided match I've ever seen. He went one-on-one with Dean Ambrose in his debut. And quite frankly, all I could say about this is he manhandled Dean Ambrose all match, shoves Roman Reigns on the outside, and then manhandles them both. Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. This dude is a monster. And he is changed the complexion of the Wyatt family. Because we all know Wyatt family was Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, and Bray Wyatt. But this guy is, you know, he's now the monster of the Wyatt family. And, I mean, goddamn. He is a big dude. He's a monster. Huge. And he basically manhandled the two remaining members of the Shield and flung them around like ragdolls. Quite frankly. And then Luke Harper got involved, and by the way, Dean Ambrose won by DQ. But actually, no, he didn't. It was Braun Strowman who won by DQ, because like I say, Strowman pushed Reigns out the way, and obviously Reigns didn't take too kindly to it, so he goes after him. But even Dean hit this guy with a chair in the back when he grabbed out of Roman Reigns, had him in that sleeper chokehold move that he's done, and he did on Smackdown and on Raw last week. Dean hits him with a chair. The guy doesn't even move. No effect. I mean, I don't know where this feud's going with Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, or the Wyatt family, but I think the Shield might have their hands full. I mean, this was supposed to be a 6-man tag at SummerSlam between Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, Sting, and the Wyatt family, but it seems Sting's went down a different path and went after the injustice, as he called it, of Seth Rollins. Be interested to see what happens in this feud and who would step up. Should they be a 6-man tag, who would step up to join Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose? Even I'm puzzled on this one, but I'm interested to see where this Wyatt family, this new and probably improved Wyatt family, go. Especially improved with the size of that motherfucker. Holy shit. Right, just check, see if there's any more matches on here. No, that's it. I've got one more match for you, and that is the Dudley Boyz. First time in 10 years, they return, and they go against, yes, the ever so lovely dancing heels themselves, the New Day. Now, I have done these videos quite often, and hell, if you listen to my podcast, you will know that I bash the New Day. I'm not a big fan of the New Day, especially when Kofi Kingston comes out and starts dancing like that and everything. What the fuck is with that? But I will give credit where it's due. I will give the Devils their due. They are good heels. Annoying, but they are good heels. The annoying part of that group is Xavier Woods. That guy will not shut up. I mean, what is with that hairstyle for a start? But, you know, the stars of that team, the tag team, the team of that team should be a tag team. Is Big Show, is a Big E and Kofi Kingston. That's the team out of that team. You know, Xavier Woods would be best off being a manager, quite frankly. You know, he's got the mouth for it. You know, he's got the mouth for the manager, for the managerial role. I mean, Jesus Christ, this guy wouldn't shut up, and I would have hated to have been that cameraman at ringside just looking at him talking like that. I mean, be like, shut the fuck up. But Kofi and Big E are a great team, just not as good as the Dudleys. And Bobby Ray in this match was hilarious. I mean, every offense that he got out and that he got to do, when he got on offense, at some point during that offense, he would always shout, "New Day sucks." I mean, when he went to do the splash in the corner with Big E and Kofi in the corner, and he went to splash them in the corner, he ran and was like, "New Day sucks!" It's just hilarious. I mean, even one part of the match as well where Kofi was clapping at him. I don't know what the heck he was clapping. He was like, "Save their tables. Save their tables." Right? Bubba Ray came back going, "New Day sucks. New Day sucks." It was just hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. But I loved it. All in all, two great teams, and I'll give them the due. They are a great tag team. But experience paid off in this match. Tag team experience paid off because Dudley Boyz went for their little what's-up move. Kofi stopped it. They bounced. They pushed Bubba Ray off the ropes. Devon tagged in. Got to the point where they hit. They used their experience and hit 3D and got the victory. And Dudley's ended up being the tag team champions. From what I'm hearing out of this match at Night of Champions, it's going to be a triple threat because, as we all know, well, anyone with a brain knows, PTP have still got a rematch clause, so they're pushing for a triple threat match for the tag team titles at Night of Champions. can see Dudley's being 10-time tag team champions. That's what they want. That's what they will get eventually. And I think Dudley's will be the dominant team of the WWE tag team division, since they have signed a full-time deal. From what I'm hearing, they are on the roster now full-time. So we'll be seeing a lot of the Dudley Boyz, which is A-okay with me. Team who? But all in all, considering what I thought of last week's Raw, I thought this week's was pretty good. And out ratings-wise, I will give this a 4 out of 5. Or in Sunday Segway terms, out of 10, I would give this a solid 7 for me. A good solid 7. Was it better, in my opinion, than last week's Raw? No. But there was a few dodgy moments about it. You know, the Charlotte Flair match as well with Brie, but that's what you probably end up getting out of a Beat the Clock, because that's what Beat the Clock does. But at least Charlotte Flair is going on to Night of Champions. And if there's a God in this world, she will be the next Divas champion, and she will win the Divas title and take control of the Divas division from that point on. I'm a huge fan of Charlotte Flair. I'm a huge fan of all NXT women, because they are the standards of what the Divas division should be. And hopefully when Nikki Bella loses her title, or as a certain somebody on Facebook, you know who you are, said, as Shira loses her title at Night of Champions, hopefully they'll take some notes on how, and hopefully go away and improve. Look, I got nothing against the Bellas, but when it comes to the Bella Twins and the NXT girls, i.e. Becky, Paige, Charlotte, Bayley, the Bellas can't hold a candle to what they can do. Sorry. It doesn't work like that. I mean, you had all these great wrestlers. You had even Natalya on there. Back in the day, you had Beth Phoenix. You know, and it's gone from that to Kelly from back in the day with Kelly Kelly. Maurice wasn't all that as good. You know, I mean, I liked Kelly Kelly, don't get me wrong. I liked Maurice, but back in the day, they should have built, like I say, they should have built the Divas division around Natalya. And it's a shame Natalya is going to be known as the woman that was never Divas champion, from what it seems. But hey, hopefully Charlotte will get her just due, and that's the plan from what I'm hearing. But considering the rumours I've been hearing from what's been happening, and like I said, they're just rumours, it may not happen. And if it doesn't happen, the rumours were true. But Charlotte Flair will be your Divas champion, and hopefully bring some credibility back to the Divas division. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/WM podcast and like the page and show your support to the podcast that stands up for professional wrestling, the Wrestling Matters podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Be sure to tune in each and every Wednesday for the Progress Wrestling Podcast. That's right, each and every week on Wednesdays, for the time being at least, I will be reviewing their shows from their on-demand service, Demand Progress. So be sure to check out the hottest promotion to come out of London. That's right, it's Progress Wrestling. This is Progress. This is a podcast on Progress. Every Wednesday on SoundCloud, YouTube, OSW TV, and every other podcasting site that matters. Be sure to check it out. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters podcast, episode 75. Hope you enjoyed that audio there, the review on Monday Night Raw. Now, we'll get into the rest of the regular schedule on this podcast. Now, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to save NXT and Smackdown till last because I want to talk about TNA. I want to talk about TNA wrestling. Now, this past week on Impact, there were 3 good things about Impact Wrestling this past week. Now, the main reason I'm even watching TNA at this moment in time is because of the GFW situation. TNA versus GFW. Everybody knows the TNA and GFW are in partnership. Yeah, well, there's a hostile takeover angle going on, and it involves GFW versus TNA, and the plan is Dixie puts up her stock in the company, the TNA company, and Jeff Jarrett puts his stock in the company, because apparently he still has some stake in the company. And yeah, Drew Galloway is the leader of the TNA crew, and Bobby Lashley and the American Wolves, who lost the tag titles to Brian Myers and Trevor Lee off GFW, which is not necessarily a bad thing if it works for the angle, at least. I mean, look what happened in 2001 when Lance Storm became Intercontinental Champion when he was a part of the Alliance. If it works that way, then okay. But yeah, that's things going on, and I'm very interested in seeing what direction that goes in and where that's going to end up. I mean, are they going to have it on a major pay-per-view? Maybe Bound for Glory? You know, are they going to have this match, winner takes all match at Bound for Glory? Are they going to have it on an Impact show, which could be either, say, I don't know, Turning Point or whatever, the former pay-per-view shows that used to be pay-per-views now have to be, you know, major Impact shows now. But yeah, I'm very interested in seeing where that direction goes. I mean, you've got Drew Galloway, who's countering and wants a piece of Jeff Jarrett for what happened to him, because he got attacked a couple of weeks ago like Bully Ray, but the attack on Bully Ray was to get him out of TNA so he can come back to WWE, because you know he's back with the Dudleys now. There was things going down as well. I mean, you've got the Wolves coming out looking for a piece of Trevor Lee and Brian Myers because they want their rematch for the tag belts. And I would imagine, yes, Chris Masters is a part of GFW as well, but he's not going under the name Chris Masters. Lashley probably came out to counteract him, and it's not the first time they've had a match before. They had a match on Impact and Lashley won, I think, but I'm not really into that. The 3 main talking points of Impact this past week is the GFW thing with TNA, the Beautiful People reuniting to counteract the Dollhouse. Madison Rayne, Velvet Sky, and Angelina Love are back together, and they're going to war with the Dollhouse. And also Drew Galloway stopping Sanjay Dutt interfering in the Bobby Roode PJ Black match, and Bobby Roode becoming the new King of the Mountain champion. Now, I have an issue with TNA, and it's not negative issue, it's due to booking, because, I mean, I'm a fan of TNA. I don't want to see these guys go out of business. I don't want to see any wrestling company go out of business. I never want to see WCW go out of business, but everybody knew at the end of the day, by 98 onwards, they were on the verge of going out of business. It was just a case of when. I don't want to see anything, but I want to know who's booking TNA and who's coming up with the ideas. I'll give you a couple of examples. This past week on Impact, it had EC3 defending the World Championship against Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy got his rematch and he lost, and EC3 retains the championship and is still your TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And that means Jeff Hardy has to become EC3's personal assistant, which is bullshit. Royal bullshit. One of the top stars in the company has to go and be EC3's personal assistant. I think somebody in booking came up with that idea. If you want to give him that, but don't put that in there. I mean, this is not a knock on EC3. I'll give the man his due. He's been a great TNA World Champion. But to put that angle in, you know, was that really necessary? I mean, Jeff Hardy's one of the top stars in the company. Dare I say the top star in professional wrestling. And he has to be EC3's personal assistant. It's a joke. I'm sorry. And whoever came up with that idea wants his screw loose. Has got a screw loose. The other angle that I didn't like was what happened a week before with Chris Melendez, and I think I mentioned this a few times and I didn't talk about it. Chris Melendez versus Eric Young. Now, if Eric Young won, he would get Chris Melendez's prostate leg, because Chris Melendez fought in the war and, you know, bad things happened, and he obviously got the prostate leg because of it. Again, who's booking TNA to come up with that idea? Seriously, it's ridiculous. It's absolute ridiculous. Oh yeah, we'll do this, and then we'll do, we'll give the devil his due, and we'll give you the opportunity to do that, and you can have that. That's why I never talked about it on I don't think I really mentioned it on last week's podcast. But who's booking that? I mean, the guy fought for the country of the United States of America. He wanted to be a professional wrestler. He got his wish. And now he lost a match to Eric Young. And Eric Young was such a lunatic now that some idiot in TNA's booking committee came up with an idea, oh yeah, we'll put the prostate leg on the line. It makes no sense. And TNA is in deep shit. I mean, I found out the other day that Ring of Honor is now being moved from the 8 o'clock spot on Destination America to 11 o'clock. To be honest, and I hate to say this, I could understand why Destination America is getting rid of TNA. I don't know when they're going to do it, but it's been told, and it's been, at least from what I've heard anyway, it's been pretty much bottom line that TNA are no longer going to be on Destination America. And like I said, they've moved Ring of Honor from the 8 o'clock spot to 11 o'clock. To be honest, I think Destination America used TNA as guinea pigs. Because let's face it, and I'm only being honest here, and this is not a knock on TNA fans or anything, or not a knock on TNA. At the rate TNA's going, Destination America would definitely get better ratings with Ring of Honor than they would TNA. Because I can't imagine Eric Young winning somebody's prostate leg getting a rating for the show. I can't imagine the World Championship match on this past week's Impact getting a rating. Oh yeah, the match itself probably got a rating, but it probably wouldn't have been a good rating considering the fact that Jeff Hardy has to be the personal assistant of EC3. I don't know who's booking TNA, but somebody wants to shoot if they're coming up with this kind of angles. I mean, surely they can come up with better storylines than this. I mean, and you wonder why people are always bashing TNA. They're always hating on TNA. I know TNA people probably don't care. To be honest, and I hate to say this, I hope GFW win this feud and take over. Because at the rate TNA's going right now, they may never get on another network again. Because in the state it's in at the moment, who's going to want to pick them up? I mean, no offense, yes, they bring great wrestling, but I remember Dixie Carter coming out when she hired Bully Ray to be in charge. She wanted to make it the best professional wrestling company in the world again. From what I'm seeing right now, and from what I've been seeing these past couple of weeks, she's got a long way to go to do that. Because, let's face it, TNA ain't what it used to be. I mean, back in the day, 2004, 2005 time onwards, held the weekly pay-per-views they used to do in Nashville. 2004, 2005 onwards, the monthly pay-per-views they did when they got the Impact gig. You know, the 60-minute adrenaline rush, as Mike Tenay used to say, with him and Don West. You know, and then the monthly pay-per-views, you know, the turning point with probably one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen in professional wrestling, with Elix Skipper walking across the cage, Hurricane Ryan and Chris Harris off during that Triple X AMW cage match. Back then, TNA meant something. TNA was built around the X division. They had a solid tag team division. They had a great world title division, even though it was with the NWA at the time, you know. And pay-per-view after pay-per-view, they were busting out. Because I remember, because I used to watch it on the Wrestling Channel. For all you UK fans that remember the Wrestling Channel, I used to watch it on the Wrestling Channel, and they used to bust out pay-per-views after pay-per-view after pay-per-view, and they were 5-star pay-per-views. Now they bust out a pay-per-view, and you know, they're lucky it's even 3 stars. I mean, you know, Slammiversary wasn't that good. It was good, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. I don't know where TNA is going right now, but, you know, I pray for them. I really do. Because I don't want to see no wrestling company go out of business. Like I said, I never want to see ECW go out of business. I never want to see WCW go out of business. But like I said, WCW was on the verge of going out of business anyway. Frustrating times in TNA at this moment, at least from what I'm seeing at least. I just hope they can bounce back and really bounce back and quick. Right, guys, I'll end the TNA review rant there, and I'll take a quick break, and I'll be back after this with the Ring of Honor review, so stay tuned. If you like the Wrestling Matters Podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters Podcast now on Twitter at WM Podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters Podcast, and you know what? We won't hesitate, we won't do anything. We'll go to the rivalry edition of Ring of Honor. Let's review that. Now, Ring of Honor kicked off with Adam Page versus Jay Briscoe, and I'll tell you this right now, guys, this wasn't even a match. Page slapped him twice, and then all hell broke loose, and it was just a setup. As Briscoe managed to dive on Page on the outside, and then Colby hits him with a crotch, and then Briscoe gets distracted, and then Page hits him with a chair, and that's it, done. And then Decade put a beat down on him, which Mark managed to save. So there was really not much in that match. That was just a Decade trying to be sneaky bastards and sneaky heels to try and attack one of the top stars in the company, Jay Briscoe, former 2-time world champion, and it worked. So I would imagine there'll be a Decade and Briscoe's match at some point. Probably BJ Whitmer and Adam Page versus the Briscoes at some point. Unless he try and weasels Colby Corino in there just to piss off Steve Corino at some point. I don't know. It's all ridiculous if you ask me. The next thing was Dalton Castle answering the challenge of Silas Young and counter it with if Young beats Castle, Young gets his boys. But if Dalton beats Young, he becomes one of the boys. Silas Young. So we'll wait for that. And then the next match was a great match, good, aggressive, physical match between Cedric Alexander and Caprice Coleman. Now, it was an even match until Vader Scott, or as I now call her, Vader Slot, gets involved. And it was still even after that, but Cedric had more of the advantage. After that, and like I said, Vader Scott could be testified for that. And it was a good, physical wrestling match. I loved it. And then it came in with the end where Vader Scott, one of the talking points was at the end where Vader Scott got the wrench again and tried to distract the referees so Cedric could use the wrench on Coleman, but it backfired because Moose came out. Moose's manager went round, got Vader Scott, dumped there on the floor, and then Moose grabbed out of the wrench, stopped Cedric from using it. Cedric loses the match, and then Moose mocks Cedric with it, and then hits Cedric with it. Hit Cedric with the wrench as Cedric was about to attack him. All in all, great match between the two. This new aggressive heel persona that Cedric Alexander's took on now since joining Vader Scott has come to fruition, and just a great physical match. Shame Vader Scott had to be out there, but hey, I liked it. And Moose gets a little bit of revenge at the end. So, great match between the two. Brutal Bob went 1-on-1 with Cheeseburger. Now, this wasn't really much of a match, really. It was just Brutal Bob dominating a smaller and bullying Cheeseburger, and Brutal Bob trying to pick up where he left off when he sidewalk slammed him through the table the last time these two met. But Burger got the win by count out by palm striking Brutal Bob through a table. Just as he was about to do what he did the first time around, he was going to do it again, but credit to Burger, counter it, and he got the victory by count out. And got a little bit of revenge, maybe a lot of revenge for Brutal Bob, and beat the bully, as Kevin Kelly said. But the match was pretty much dominated by Brutal Bob. It wasn't really much of a match, and like I said, Cheeseburger ended up getting the victory. And Jay Lethal versus Hanson for the TV Championship, with Bobby Fish at ringside, who made the winner. A good, solid wrestling match between the two. Jay Lethal with his back against the wall because he has two belts, just like Seth Rollins. Although at Night of Champions that won't last, I believe. Jay Lethal really took it to Hanson, and Hanson was just being the monster that he is. Almost got Jay Lethal on occasions, and we thought he was going to do exactly the same when he won the first time around. When these two met the first time, Hanson beat Jay Lethal, and we thought it was going to happen again, but Jay Lethal, being the champion that he is, and you got to give him credit, he's a great champion, manages to hit 2 lethal injections to get the win, and then gets in the face of Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, who has a shot at the world champion. But that's only if Jay Lethal could get past Roderick Strong, because next week on the program on Ring of Honor, it's going to be Roderick Strong versus Jay Lethal for the World Championship, and the tag belts will be on the line. Championship edition of Ring of Honor next week, so that should be good. All in all, with the Ring of Honor this week, it was a great show. 4 out of 5. A few matches that didn't need to be on, really. The Adam Page match really did not need to be on, and they could have just added with the 3 that were headlined, the Brutal Bob match, and the Cedric Alexander Coleman match, and the TV title match. They really didn't need to book Adam Page and Jay Briscoe on, but I suppose it was just enough to get the Decade some heat. Not that they already need it, because they've already got tons of it, but yeah, I won't be surprised if there's a Briscoes versus Decade match at some point. All in all, 4 out of 5. A good Ring of Honor show. Yeah, look forward to next week, the Championship edition. And that about wraps up this part for the Wrestling Matters podcast, and I'll be back after this with Smackdown and NXT main points, so stay tuned. Be sure to tune in each and every Wednesday for the Progress Wrestling Podcast. That's right, each and every week on Wednesdays, for the time being at least, I will be reviewing their shows from their on-demand service, Demand Progress. So be sure to check out the hottest promotion to come out of London. That's right, it's Progress Wrestling. This is Progress. This is a podcast on Progress every Wednesday on SoundCloud, YouTube, OSW TV, and every other podcasting site that matters. Be sure to check it out. Wrestling matters, wrestling fans. Be sure to tune in every single Tuesday now for the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra, where I'll be hosting a podcast on one promotion and one promotion only. ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling, the hottest promotion in Scotland, where I'll be reviewing their shows. Oh my God! Talking ICW.
That's 13-14!
And who knows, maybe getting some guests on. So be sure to tune in to the Wrestling Matters Podcast Extra ICW podcast, Insane Championship Wrestling, every Tuesday on YouTube, Podomatic, Stitcher Radio, download it free at iTunes, Mixcloud, and SoundCloud. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans.
World, look into my eyes. When you see me on a show, when you see these fans, you know you've got the best in the damn world. We are ICW and you're gonna know our name.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Hope you've enjoyed it so far, and now we go and create now to the WWE section of this podcast, and that is Smackdown and NXT. But first, we'll kick off with Smackdown. Smackdown kicked off this week with tag team action involving Dudley Boyz and Primetime Players. Xavier Woods, Big E Langston, Kofi Kingston kicked off SmackDown by highlighting great tables from history. Their attempt to show the WWE Universe why Dudley Boyz shouldn't destroy tables. Oberyn Devon took exception but ended up in a match against the Primetime Players, as they did. New Day took a ringside seat by joining the SmackDown commentating team. In the end, Dudley's triumphed with 3D, the Dudley Death Drop, but as the dust cleared, Big E and Woods opted to leave with the table rather than let the Extreme Duo destroy it. This provided Kingston enough to distraction with a cheap shot, Devon, before hurrying up the ramp. They keep doing this right now, and I swear to God, the New Day are going to die. They're not going to be the champions anymore, I can tell you, for very much longer. Stardust and the Ascension welcome Neville to the Cosmic Wasteland. It seems there's a group that is formed on SmackDown involving the Ascension and Stardust. While Neville was scheduled to face Stardust, the Ascension delivered a sneak attack to the man that gravity forgot. As he was making his way to the ring, Stardust and the Near-Fist combination then unleashed a 3-on-1 assault on the high-flying superstar. Shame to see what that is. Sheamus somehow beats Cesaro. Fireworks erupt on the Miss TV segment with Summer Rae and Ziggler and Lana. Bo Dallas beats R-Truth. The clock is ticking. If Nikki Bella still has the Divas title after Raw 2 weeks from now, she will be the longest reigning Divas champion of all time. Just 6 days before she is scheduled to defend her title against the new number one contender, Charlotte, and Night of Champions. Each second may count, however, because prior to her match, Tamina on SmackDown, Charlotte revealed to Team Bella that she has petitioned to the authority to move the match up, potentially putting the record in jeopardy. In the match that followed, the daughter of WWE Hall of Famer Ric Flair overcame her Team Bad adversary with natural selection. Will she give the same luck to Nikki? Yes, she will. She will be the new Divas champion. And the only reason Nikki is getting this, record thing is because of John Cena. If the rumors are true, that is. It's ridiculous. And Charlotte left that match with a knot on her head. You could see it after the match, so it was a physical match in the process. And finally, the main event, Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose squared off against the New Day in SmackDown's main event just when it looked like Reigns would pin Kofi Kingston after blasting him with a Superman punch. As his adversary was leaping off the top rope, Xavier Woods attacked, causing disqualification. Seconds later, Ambrose leveled Woods with Dirty Deeds. Big E then made a mistake of rejoining the fight, only to be hit with a spear. The former Shield cohort then picked up Woods again and treated him to an old school 2-man powerbomb. After the match, Ambrose challenged Bray Wyatt to a follow-up showdown. Instead, the new face of Fear appeared on the Titantron, alluding to the possible Wyatt family numbers to his advantage at Night of Champions. Who will be the mystery partner? Even this one's got me puzzled, because we all know it's not going to be Sting, because he's got a match at Night of Champions against Seth Rollins for the World Championship. And at SummerSlam, this match was built to the point where it was going to be Seth Rollins, where it was going to be Sting being the champion. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. Indeed. Now on to the NXT talking points. So let's get right into it. Right, let's just see if I can get this in. Bear with me, guys. There's a lot of stuff on this, so I've got this up. And NXT. It seems that the two adversaries that were wrestling each other a couple of weeks ago returned to joined forces to face the Ascension in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic first round match. That's Baron Corbin and Rhino. The Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic continued on major fashion this week as the longest reigning NXT Tag Team Champions in history. The Ascension returned to face the new pairing of Rhino and Baron Corbin. The two teams squared off and almost immediately started exchanging blows. The hard-hitting duo traded control, landing bombs back and forth until the Ascension and Rhino in the position for the fall man. Corbin was able to take out Victor, allowing the Man Beast to drop Connor with the gore and secure their place in the next round of the tournament. Alexia Bliss defeats Blue Pants. I'm not even going to go into that match because Alexia Bliss probably wants to revenge for the tag champions. And plus, if you hear and listen to WTTV news on YouTube, there's a lot of heat going on with their Bliss at the moment, with their Blue Pants rather. And Alexia Bliss won that. But to the other tag team classic match, there was a moment first. Tyler Breeze stormed into William Regal's office while the NXT general manager was meeting with two of the hottest free agents in sports entertainment or professional wrestling, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Prince Petty demanded to be entered in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. William Regal obligated, pairing Breeze with Bull Dempsey to face the new duo of Tommaso Ciampa and Gargano next week in the first round match. Apollo Crews went one-on-one with somebody who you may be familiar with, guys, in the UK, Martin Stone. After an impressive NXT debut at TakeOver Brooklyn, Apollo Crews made his first appearance on the show at the Full Sail University, taking on tough British grappler Martin Stone. Despite Stone's best efforts, Crews cruised to another remarkable win with his trademark Gorilla Press Slam, followed by the breathtaking standing moonsault. Eva Marie beats Billie Kay. Just another way to push Eva Marie. I'm not really convinced about her yet, so I'll move on to the main event, which saw Solomon Crowe and Adrian Neville versus Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. The NXT universe were in for a treat as former NXT champion Adrian Neville returned to enter the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic with Solomon Crowe. Jason Jordan and Chad Gable took control of the bout with their mat skills until Neville used the uncanny agility to counter their amateur wrestling throws. Eventually, Jordan and Gable were able to slow down the bout to their pace by grappling Crowe in their corner and tossing him around with ease. Neville and Crowe Daredevil strategy looked to be paying off for them, but Jordan and Gable's power, along with their experience as a team, was the perfect counter. After evading an attack from Crowe in the corner, Jordan knocked Neville off the apron and tagged Gable to hit the Grand Altitude, if that's pronounced wrong I apologise, on Crowe to advance in the tournament. And there you have it for the NXT made talking points and the SmackDown made talking points, guys. I'll be back with this. I'll be back right after this quick timeout with the closure and a few shout outs and a few promotions as well. So See you in a bit. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not check out their Facebook page at facebook.com/WM podcast and like the page and show your support to the podcast that stands up for professional wrestling, the Wrestling Matters podcast. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. If you like the Wrestling Matters podcast, why not follow the Wrestling Matters podcast now on Twitter at WM podcast for all professional wrestling news. Wrestling Matters, wrestling fans. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final part of the Wrestling Matters podcast. This is the closeout show, guys. So, the closeout part, so I'll just end with this. Like I say, big apologies. You know what I said at the beginning of the show, the apologies to Tim Vicious. Tim Vicious will be on the show ASAP. I will get him on, hopefully for next week. If not, he'll be on. I'm not going to put on anybody else until we've got Tim Vicious back on the show. So, apologies for that, guys. Also, check out Michael Larkin, S&F's the podcast. I forgot what they call the podcast now. Hang on, bear with me. This is a bit retarded, I know. S&M Show podcast. Be sure to check that out as well, because I did an interview-ish, if you can call it an interview, for the podcast. 2 parts. You can see it on soundcloud.com/MCLarkin92. So be sure to check that out as well. And we'll get Michael on the podcast very, very soon, no doubt. I'm looking forward to that also. And yeah, guys, with that being said, that is about wraps it up for this Wrestling Matters podcast. Hope you have enjoyed listening to this podcast as well. Give me feedback and all that. Also, forgot to mention, be sure to check out the Wrestling Matters channel in the coming weeks, because I've got more videos coming to that channel as well as Raw reviews and that. But I've got some other stuff as well that I'm in the middle of doing, of putting together, so I can create and put on that channel as well. So the Wrestling Matters channel will be busy very, very soon. And yeah, with all that being said, guys, hope you've enjoyed the podcast. Again, youtube.com/AJW Wrestling Matters, facebook.com/WM Podcast, at WM Podcast on Twitter. And yeah, be sure to check out my games channel as well, guys. Games Matter channel is Games Matter channel on YouTube, youtube.com/Games Matter channel. And check out the Games Matter channel on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Games Matter channel as well. And check out, and if you want to get in touch with me, at Tony_Walker on Twitter as well. And with that being said, guys, enjoy your week. Check out the ICW podcast and Progress Wrestling podcast tomorrow and Wednesday respectively. And until next time, guys, I'll see you soon. Peace.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Professional wrestling, this is it. This is us standing up.
Yes, 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 yes!
That's 13-14!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold Simpson.